Hello everyone. Today we shall learn how to use the cluster and the factor analysis to choose from among different financial assets to construct a portfolio. Specifically, our task is to choose 3 markets out of a given set to construct a globally diversified portfolio. We have daily data on 10 stock market indexes chosen from the global financial market. We have representatives from different regions. From Asia, we have India, Indonesia, Japan, and Hong Kong. From Europe, we have France and Germany. From North America, we have US and Mexico. And from South America, we have Brazil and Peru. The data extends from 15th April 2015 to 8th April 2020. The one point should be mentioned here. Our results and the choice of assets will be crucially dependent on the choice of the study period. Any change in it might change the results substantially. Returns have been calculated using the formula which states that return is equal to log of PT by PT minus 1. Now, the risk-averse investors will be more interested in the risk-adjusted returns rather than the raw return. Therefore, instead of working with the raw return, we shall adjust it by the unique risk. The issue of market risk may be tackled while we shall consider the construction of the portfolio. For calculating the risk-adjusted return, we need to have some measure of risk, which is usually the standard deviation or the variance of the return series. Here we assume that the risks are changing over time. Thus, instead of using a constant SD or a constant variance, we shall be working with a conditional SD. For calculating the conditional SD, I have exported the data to eViews. Conditional variance has been calculated for each of the 10 markets. Now let me show the process for one particular market, say for the US market. I am using a Garch 1-1 model. The threshold order is taken to be 0. However, its value may be changed so that we may incorporate the asymmetric response to the volatility changes. The mean equation has US return given by USA as the dependent variable. It has a constant and suitably lagged AR and MA terms. Lags are determined on the basis of the minimum AIC criteria. Now we have estimated the model and the conditional variance has been saved. It has been given a suitable name also. For example, I am using the name USA_CV here. In this way, conditional variances for all the markets have been saved. Now the data has been sent to Excel for calculating the risk-adjusted return. Now what is the risk-adjusted return? By definition, risk-adjusted return is the return divided by the standard deviation. Therefore, we need to calculate the conditional standard deviation by taking square roots of the conditional variances. Here, we may mention that often the risk-adjusted return is defined as Ri minus Rf by SD. It is similar to the Sharpe measure. And RF is the return on a risk-free asset. In this context, to calculate RF, we need to find out a risk-free asset that is traded globally, or we shall have to find out the risk-free rate for each market separately and then compute the risk-adjusted return. For simplicity, we are omitting the RF here. This is permissible if daily return on the risk-free asset is very low, and this is not a very unrealistic assumption. Risk-adjusted return thus has been computed for all the markets as return divided by the conditional standard deviation. For conducting the cluster analysis, now the data has been exported to SPSS. and this is the variable view. For cluster analysis, we go to analyze and then classify and then the hierarchical cluster. We shall use an agglomerative bottom-up approach where each market will start in its own cluster and then similar members will join to form the new clusters. In each stage, new clusters will be formed where similar members would join an existing cluster or would form clusters of their own. In initial stages, most similar members will combine. As the process continues, less similar or not so similar or even quite dissimilar variables would be clubbed together. One would stop clustering when the clusters are too far apart to be merged. At this point, we can find out the optimum number of clusters. Now we shall select and input all the markets under variable. For cluster option, choose variable. This implies that the markets in this example will be clustered. If you have only one market, then you may choose cases. This would give you clusters of daily returns that are similar in nature. For the option display, we choose statistics and the plots. Under the option statistics, we have the agglomeration schedule. The agglomeration schedule displays how the hierarchical cluster analysis progressively clusters the cases or the variables. Each row in the schedule shows a stage at which two cases or variables are combined to form a cluster. It uses an algorithm dictated by the distance and linkage selections. And this schedule helps us identify the optimum number of clusters. We have the proximity matrix also. The proximity matrix is a symmetric matrix that shows the distance between variables. It is used for deciding which clusters to merge. Next we have the range of solution. The range of solution is given from 2 to 10. The maximum number of clusters is 10 so that each market forms its own cluster. The minimum number is 2 so that there are at least 2 separate clusters. We do not enter 1 here because that would mean that all the markets will be clubbed under one cluster so that there is actually no clustering at all. Next, under plot, we select dendrogram. This is a graph that shows stages of cluster formation. Now we move on to the cluster methods. There are different methods in which similarity or dissimilarity may be measured. So these are the different methods that are used. We shall be using the between group linkage method, where the distance between the clusters is the average distance of all data points within these. For members within a cluster, this distance is minimum, and for members that belong to different clusters, this distance is maximum. Similarly, there are different methods for estimating the distance, and we are using the squared Euclidean distance. Now we have the results of the cluster analysis. The agglomeration schedule shows the stages of cluster formation. The first column shows the stages. The cluster combined column shows which markets are being combined to form cluster. The agglomeration coefficient reflects the extent of similarity among members that forms clusters in a certain stage. A sudden huge rise in the coefficient would imply that intrinsically dissimilar objects are being combined at this stage. Hence, this clustering is not acceptable. We should stop at the previous stage to find out the optimum number of clusters. In stage 0, the 10 markets were in 10 different clusters. In stage 1, market 4, that is France, is combined with market 6, that is Germany. Hence, these two are the most similar in terms of the risk-adjusted return. There is a column which says stage cluster first appears. Now, cluster 1, which is France, appeared first in stage 0, and cluster 2, which is Germany, that also appeared first in stage 0. The next stage column shows that in second stage there would be a change in the membership of this cluster. In stage 1, thus we have 9 clusters, France and Germany in one cluster, and all the other markets will be in their individual clusters. In stage 2, market 1, that is USA, is combined with market 4, that is France. Essentially, US joins the cluster formed with France and Germany, but it is more similar to France than to Germany. The agglomeration coefficient reports a huge jump. This means that US is intrinsically quite different from France and Germany, and this cluster combination may not be acceptable. Therefore, we may end up with 9 clusters. However, we would proceed further to explain the table, and later on we shall comment on the optimum number of clusters. We see that cluster 1, which contained US only, was formed in stage 0, and cluster 2, that had France and Germany in it, was formed in stage 1. Now, this cluster now formed will change in stage 6, where new members would join. Thus, in this stage we have 8 clusters. US, France and Germany, that is the US and the European markets, are in one cluster, while the 7 others are in 7 individual clusters. Stage 3 shows formation of a new cluster, where market 5, that is Japan, combines with market 10, that is Hong Kong. The agglomeration coefficient increases by a considerable amount, but it is less than the increase that we saw in stage 2. These two clusters formed in stage 1 and the combined cluster will see further change in the 5th stage. Thus, the extent of similarity among the European and the US market is much more than what it is in the context of the Asian markets. At this stage, we have 7 clusters. The European plus the US market in cluster 1, the Asian market in cluster 2, and the 5 individual clusters. In stage 4, Brazil and Mexico are combined. These two markets are quite similar, but their similarity is less than what it is for the Asian markets and for the US and the European market. So now we have 6 clusters. Coming to stage 5, India joins the cluster that has Japan and Hong Kong in it. In fact, India joins with Japan as it is more similar to it. Thus, while India, Japan and Hong Kong are in the same cluster, India is much more closer to Japan than to Hong Kong. Now we consider the column, the stage cluster first appears. Cluster 1 contains India, it was formed in stage 0. The second cluster contains Japan and Hong Kong, and it was formed in stage 3. More changes will be there in stage 8. So in that way we can explain these columns. So now we have 5 clusters: the US and the European market cluster, the newly changed Asian market cluster, Brazil plus Mexico. So these are the first 3. Indonesia and Peru are still in different clusters. In stage 6, Brazil and Mexico joins the US plus European market cluster. In fact, it is Brazil that is more similar to the US market. By virtue of this similarity, Brazil plus Mexico joins the first cluster. Peru and Indonesia still remains isolated, hence in terms of risk-adjusted return, Indonesia and Peru are quite different than the other markets. So now we have 4 clusters. In stage 7, US and Peru join. Hence Peru, although it is not so similar to the other markets in the cluster, joins the cluster to which US belongs. Indonesia is still isolated and we have 3 clusters. In stage 8, Indonesia ultimately joins the Asian cluster. And thus we have only 2 clusters. One is the Asian cluster and the other contains all the European and the American market. Now before we conclude about the optimum number of clusters, let us consider the dendrogram. It shows the distance at which the clusters are formed. The scale ranges from 0 to 25. If clusters are formed at a lower range of this scale, then the members are more similar. However, the clusters formed at greater distance would imply lesser similarity among the cluster members. France and Germany are most similar. US combines with France at a relatively greater distance in the range of 10 to 15. Japan and Hong Kong are combined at greater distance, almost near the distance of 15. So they are less similar in terms of risk-adjusted return than the 3 other markets just mentioned. Brazil and Mexico are combined in the range of 15 to 20, but the distance is closer to 20. France, Germany, US, Brazil and Mexico are combined at a distance which is slightly above 20. Japan, Hong Kong and India are combined at exactly that distance. The 6 European and the American markets combined at a greater distance. Same is true for the Asian cluster. Hence, these cluster formations may not be very acceptable. Combine all the markets together is not at all a good idea because the cluster is formed at a distance of 25. Hence, it combines intrinsically dissimilar markets. Hence, we may stop at a point where the US market joins the European cluster. So, France and Germany are very similar in terms of movement in risk-adjusted return. US, though is a member of this group, is slightly dissimilar. Thus, we have 8 clusters altogether. Now, if you feel like, then you may end up at the point where Japan and Hong Kong combines. A distance of 10 to 15 may be quite bearable. So in that case, your number of clusters will be changing from 8 to 7. Now we shall be going to the factor analysis. The factor analysis reveals further information. For example, cluster analysis shows that US, France and Germany may be simultaneously chosen as these are most similar in nature. The same is for the Asian markets, but the factor analysis will club all these markets in terms of their riskiness. Now we go to the data reduction under classify in SPSS. The KMO and Bartlett test shows that we can employ the factor analysis. We start by the direct Oblimin method, which assumes that the factors are correlated among themselves, but from the correlation matrix we find that they are not so correlated, so we go back to the Verimax method. On the basis of the eigenvalue, we get three factors. Now they explain 68% of the total variability. The first factor contains the high risk markets. The second factor has moderately risky markets, whereas the third factor has relatively safe markets. A moderately risk-averse rational investor might choose one market from each factor to minimize the risk. The first factor has the European and the US markets. Thus, although these form a cluster, we should not take all these in our portfolio. If we are to choose only one, it is better to choose the US. Now, this is because US is slightly dissimilar than the two other markets, and it offers the high average risk adjusted return. So in that way, factor analysis supplements the cluster analysis. The cluster analysis, as I have mentioned earlier, would imply that we can choose simultaneously all the markets that are in the same cluster. Now, these members of the clusters might give you correlated returns. So in that case, if you wish to minimize the market risk, it is better to consider a factor analysis, which will give you some idea about the market risk of the different members that form the cluster. The second factor has the Asian markets in it. So these are moderately risky. And if you consider the cluster analysis, then Hong Kong and Japan are similar in terms of risk adjusted return. India is moderately distantly related to Japan, and Indonesia joins at a much later stage. So that means all these markets have some sort of similarity. However, the factor analysis shows that you should not consider all these markets simultaneously. So in our example, we may take only one market from this second factor. So let us choose India. So it is moderately risky, and if you consider the average risk adjusted returns, then it will be giving the highest average risk adjusted return compared to the other markets in this particular factor. The low risk markets are Brazil, Peru and Mexico. The cluster analysis shows that these three are similar but at a much greater distance. Peru in fact is more dissimilar. However, when we seek to choose one particular asset from this category, it's better to go for the Brazil. If you consider once again the average risk adjusted return, then it is the highest for Brazil in this group. In fact, it is less than only the US average. Therefore, one may choose Brazil, US and India in his or her portfolio. Now this shows how the return and risk profiles of markets may be analyzed using cluster and factor analysis to bring about similarities or dissimilarities in their return and risk profile. We have shown how the risk-adjusted return behaves and how this information may be used to choose members in a portfolio. The choice, however, might differ from one investor to another. It will depend on their attitude towards risk and many other considerations. Hope the things are clear to you. I'll be back with few more tutorials. Till then, bye. Have a good day.